चिंगारी ये है जवाग भी जिस्मों के पीछे भागे हो फिरते आसान नहीं यहाँ.
He tipped the bottle again, throat burning chest, burning walls. His eyes glued to the ring like it was the only thing keeping him breathing. Every time he blinked, her eyes came back, the same eyes that used to ground him. Now they suffocated him. He shut his eyes, and her face shattered through the darkness, close enough to feel, enough to hurt. He chugged, opened, breath racked, and drank deeper. Was it really you? His hand gripped the bottle so tight his knuckle went white. Or I am finally losing my mind. The room stayed silent, but his head didn't. Memories he didn't want clawed at the walls of his consciousness. He pressed the ring to his forehead like he was trying to breathe through it, staring at it like the world began and ended inside that tiny metal circle. The door suddenly opened. He didn't lift his head. An elderly man, expensive suit, old fury in his eyes, walked in with a groan. Every damn week at the hospital and you still drink like this. You want to die before me? Chung didn't respond, didn't blink, didn't look away from the ring. Yeah, Jungkook, are you listening? Still nothing. That silent, sharp cough from the pure steel settled between them. Grandfather's cough suddenly. Fine, sit here and sulk. I set up a date for you. Jungkook's eyes snapped up, cold, lethal. Don't look at me like that. You need to get married. You need to give an hire to Jeon family. Jungkook rose slowly from the couch, blazer in hand, moments controlled, dangerous. And hire for what? The old man opened his mouth to speak, but Jungkook cut in, voice dark and restrained. So you can make his life as miserable as mine. Grandfather let out a tired sigh. Your life isn't miserable. Stop dramatizing. You are born to do this. Duty first. Jungkook gave a dry, humorless smile and shook his head. Just try. The girl is good. Jungkook met his eyes, calm, unblinking, terrifying in how little he felt. I'm not going on any date. I'm not marrying anyone. He slipped into his blazer. And even if you did get an hire one day, what would you tell them? He stepped forward, invading the old man's space, voice dropping colder than steel, that their father already died for the world long before they were born. So how did they magically appear? Silence hit like a slap. The old man stiffened, not with guilt but fear. Right, magically. Grandfather's eyes hardened. Do as much as you are told. That snapped something in him. That's all I have done for 5 years. Exactly what I was told. Everything you told, and I am not doing this. Did you understand me clearly? I didn't save you for this day. Jungkook laughed at humorless hollow. Correction. You didn't save me. You saved yourself. You saved your empire. I died 5 years ago, and that was my decision. But you didn't let me die peacefully. Jungkook, I'm not done yet. The old man froze. If you think I don't know, you are wrong. That incident, that stage, that every control moved after that, it was all your plan. The old man's face glanced. He didn't deny it, he couldn't. You wanted a puppet, not a grandson. Watch your tongue. I don't need to, because you don't own it. Jungkook walked past him without waiting for a response. My team's new algorithm reduces post-operative cardiac arrest just by 32% in patients under 45. A slide behind her showed graph and clinical trial result. She pointed to the laser point, confident, precise, and composed. This protocol eliminates the dependency of outdated diagnostic delays and prioritizes real-time predictive monitoring. Murmurs of approval. Several senior doctors nodded, impressed. She continued, voice clear, steady. We lost a patient 2 years ago, a loss that could have been prevented. That loss became the reason I chose to rebuild the method. A respectful silence fell over the room, no, not emotional but deeply professional. The moderator leaned to the another panelist and whispered, "She is the youngest cardiologic specialist ever invited as a keynote speaker." A senior surgeon approached her with a broad smile. "Congratulations, doctor. Your research is extraordinary." Wine, after the polite smile, turning slightly to her translator for confirmation before responding. "Thank you very much, Professor." Dr. Rosie nodded, delighted. "Dr. Parks talks about you a lot." Wine smiled modestly. "He has been a great mentor to me." Dr. Park laughed slightly, waving a hand. "Korea buddies." "Ah, so you're neighbors. How lucky." "Yes, Korea buddies, though she works too much ever knock on my door." Wine shook her head with a soft laugh, the moment warm and light, a rare breather in her otherwise heavy life. "You did a great job up there." Wine smiled softly, lowering her eyes. "It would have been nothing without you." He paused for a moment, then looked at her again, proud but a little wistful. "If you keep going like this, you'll go far, very far." She nodded, offering a quiet smile, a beat of silence. "When is your flight?" "This evening, 8:30. He let out a sigh, not disappointed but regretful. "If you were staying longer, I would have taken you to explore Italy. You deserve a break." Wine returned a polite smile. "Maybe some other day." He nodded through something in expression. Her phone suddenly rang, cutting through the moment. "Excuse me." "Of course." Wine stepped away, walking toward a quieter corner of the grand lobby. His heels tapped softly against a marble floor. Dr. Park exhaled, ready to leave, relieved, proud, tired, but before he could take two steps, "Dr. Park." He turned, his eyes widened. "You?" He walked forward with a tight, uneasy smile. Jungkook stood there, sharp suit, jaw tight, eyes colder under the hospital lights. "Wait, you don't like that I showed up?" Dr. Park's palms went clammy instantly. "No, it's not that. I just didn't expect." Jungkook cut him off. "Didn't expect me to be walking around, not fighting for breath, not weak." Dr. Park swallowed. "I didn't mean." "I don't have time for this." His tone dropped, direct, dangerous. "Who was the doctor that treated me yesterday?" Dr. Park froze for a half a second. "Which doctor?" Jungkook laughed, short, humorless. "I'm trying to be polite." "You know exactly who I mean. Where is she?" His eyes scanned the lobby, searching. She flew back this morning." Jungkook's jaw twisted. "Back to Korea?" Dr. Park glanced away, scared to confirm, scared to deny. Jungkook stepped closer, voice colder. "Fine. Her name." Dr. Park swallowed, cleared his throat. "Her name wasn't in the hospital records because she wasn't on duty." Jungkook's eyes sharpened. "I checked the records. Don't waste my time." Another beat, then quite unwillingly, "Dr. Kim Chae-won." Jungkook stared at him, long, assessing. "You're not lying." Dr. Park shook his head quickly. Jungkook finally exhaled. "Good. I'll find her myself." Then he tossed out the last word with careless venom. "She's weird. Don't let anyone like her treat me again." Dr. Park nodded stiffly. "I hate doctors." He disappeared down the corridor. The Dr. Park stood frozen for a moment and let out a long breath. "Should I tell Ryan?" He hesitated, pulse uneven. He began to walk, then stopped again. "No, she'll panic. She's leaving anyway. Better not." He sighed and continued walking. "Baby, why didn't you go to school today?" Haru pouted on the skin, tiny eyebrows scrunched. "Because you said you're coming today, so I'm waiting for you, and I won't let you go again." Man's face softened instantly. "Oma, promise you will never leave me like this." Mine's breath trembled, but she kept her smile. "Promise." "But Haruya, don't be stubborn, I said I'm coming. At least eat now." He stared at her for a second. Okay, but stay on the call while I lead. Vine giggled softly and nodded. My baby. The car suddenly jerked. Vine gasped and grabbed the seat. Please drive carefully. Sorry, ma'am. She shook her head and looked back toward the screen, lips parting. A sudden knock on the driver's side window. The driver jumped and Vine stiffened. Outside, a man in an expensive suit and dark sunglasses leaned down to the window, expression thunderous. Yes, sir. Are you crazy? Do you want to kill someone? I'm sorry. Alex slammed the front door of the car with his palm. You almost hit my car. Watch the road, idiot. His fist slammed against the roof. It wasn't my fault. There was a sudden stop. But Alex didn't care. He yanked the door open and dragged the driver out of by the collar. Mine's eyes widened. She muted her call, shoved her phone in her pocket, and rushed out. Alex shoved the driver toward a black Ferrari parked ahead, marked with a deep scratch. Do you see it now? Are you blind? Alex stepped between them immediately, palms raised. Stop, let him go. Alex didn't even look at her. Stay out of this. Go get another cab. His voice wasn't angry. It was ice, but why didn't move? No, you don't drag people like that. I'll call the police. That made Alex look at her. Really look. Lady, do you have any idea how much that car cost? No amount of money justified assault. The car behind them, a matte black luxury sedan, rolled its window down. The man inside wasn't watching the fight, he was watching her. Slowly he slid off his sunglasses, leaning just enough to see her face through the reflection of the mirror, like he was studying a memory. Alex suddenly pulled a gun from his coat and pointed it at the driver. Vine guessed. The man in the other car let out a long, irritated sigh and rubbed his forehead. Not in public, stupid. He put his sunglasses back on and opened his car door. Vine spun on Alex, furious and shaken. Are you out of your mind? She stepped between Alex and the driver without hesitation. I'll pay for your damage. Just leave him alone. The other man walked toward them, calm where Alex was raged. One look from him and Alex lowered the gun immediately. Alex, leave him. Alex clenched his jaw, obeying. Boss, but the word hung in the air because Alex's boss wasn't looking at him. His gaze had already drifted to her. Vine's eyes locked with his, terror and recognition hitting her. At the same time, her fingers went cold, her throat tightened. He took a slow step closer, removing his sunglasses, not quickly, but slowly, like he needed to confirm what he was seeing. Vine looked away instantly, chest tight, breath uneven, because she knew she had seen those eyes up close in the dark. Vine's breath hissed, her spine stiffened, her hand shook as she reached for the car door. Instinct survival, but the moment she tried to pull open it, his hand landed on the door, stopping it effortlessly. Her pulse thundered. Leave. She didn't flinch, she didn't step back, didn't let her voice break, even as her heart did. He didn't move either, just leaned a fraction closer, not threatening, not gentle, just searching like someone finally locating the thing they lost. His gaze softened, but his breathing turned rough, as if emotion hurt him. Vine tried to look away again, but he lifted his hand and slowly pulled down his mask. His voice came out barely above a whisper, even disbelieving wondered. Dr. Kim. Her eyes shut tight, the denial instinct, as if closing them could make him disappear. But he said it again, this time with her full name, and it felt like every wall she had built cracked. Dr. Kim Ryan. Her eyes snapped open, sharp, blazing, meeting him carefully. Her eyes were pure rage, with his were overflowing with everything he had no right to feel. They stood there, two people who once destroyed each other, straying like stranger forced to remember. He swallowed hard, voice barely steady. It's really you. Vine's gaze didn't soften, not even a flicker. Unfortunately, his fingers slowly slipped from the door handle, stunned as if the word alone had physically pushed him back. She reached for the door again, and then a tiny voice echoed from her phone, loud enough for both of them to hear. Oma? Ryan froze, his eyes widened, confusion first and dawning attention, then something more dangerous. Oma, where did you go? Come back. Panic punched the air out of her lungs. She instantly reached for her pocket to mute the call, but his hand shot out, grabbing her wrist mid-moment exactly like the night in the hotel room. Their eyes crashed again. Vine's glare turned little, silently begging not here. Not now. He leaned in a little, voice barely audible. Don't. Not threatening, not gentle, possessive, shaken. Vine jerked her wrist. Trying to break free, he didn't tighten his hold, but he didn't let her go either. Uma, why aren't you talking? Vine's lips trembled despite herself. Something shifted in the man's eye. Something raw, something that hurt. I said, leave my hand. She tried to yank her wrist free, but for the first time she felt the full strength of his grip. Not careless, not playful, desperate. Suddenly he turned and dragged her with him. Vine stumbled, eyes wide in shock. The driver rushed to intervene, but Alex shoved him back without hesitation. Before she could even scream again, he flung open his car door and shoved her inside. The door slammed shut. Her scream echoed inside the car. He ran around the driver's seat, slid in, and locked every door. The engine roared to life. I said, let me go, you. He shot her a glare, sharp enough to cut through the bone, but didn't speak. He simply started driving. Vine held her head, trapped, breath shaking. Her eyes dropped to her phone in his hands. Haru peeked at the screen curiously while he kept his eyes dead set on the road. Give me my phone, let me go, Jungkook. The sound of it shattered him. He slammed on the brakes so hard that cars chugged violently. Silence exploded and gave in. His breaths were rough, uneven, and then slowly he turned his head toward her. His voice came out low, shaking with something far more dangerous than rage. Don't ever call my name like that. The words had barely left his mouth when Vine's hand flew across his cheek. A sharp slap, violent enough to snap his face to a side. His chest heaved. He froze for a moment. It was like the impact knocked him back into the reality. Vine snatched her phone from his hand, fingers trembling. She tried to steady her breath, tried to sound normal, even though Haru could probably hear the terror in her silence. Baby, Uma will call you later, okay? Jungkook looked at her. The tenderness in her voice hit him straight in the gut. Something tight twisted inside him, something like fear. Okay, Uma. Bye. Her thumb hovered, shaking before she finally hung up. The phone dropped to her lap. She looked at him. Pure burning rage. He looked back. Years of pain, longing, and now the terror of losing her. Kill you if you ever do something like this to me again. He didn't defend himself, didn't speak. He just stared like he wasn't sure whether to break or back. She reached for the door handle, but his hand shot out, gripping her wrist, not rough this time, firm, desperate. Her glare could have set him on fire. She opened her mouth to spit venom at him, but then police sirens wailed behind them. Jungkook snapped his eyes to the rear view mirrors, then to the bag tossed in the back seat. A flash red across his face. No time left to think. He yanked a mask over his face, slammed the gear into drive, and hit the escalator. The car lurched forward, Vine's eyes widened in shock as the city blurred around them, while silence grew louder behind them. Vine braced against the seat, heart pounding so loud she could barely hear herself think. Are you insane? Pull over. Jungkook didn't look at her. His jaw was clenched so hard a vein stood out on his neck. If they stop this car right now, we both are dead. The police lights flashed across the windows. Vine grabbed the door handle again, but it didn't budge. Don't. You don't get to control me, let me out. Her voice cracked, not with anger, with fear. Jungkook finally snapped at, yelled, really yelled for the first time. You think I want you here? The anger in his voice hit her like a punch. He swallowed hard, knuckles white on the wheel. Do you have any idea what happens if they catch you with me? I didn't do anything, you kidnapped me. Jungkook let out a dark, humorless laugh, as if they are going to believe you. He flicked his eyes toward her for a millisecond. You are in a car with a criminal, Ryan. Her jaw clenched so hard it hurt. Before she could respond, a gunshot ripped past them, shattering the edge of the rear window. Ryan screamed, ducking instantly. Jungkook growled and drifted the car sideways, tires screaming on Alphas. He shot her a look, wild, terrified, desperate. Will you drive, please? Not a command, not authority, a play. Ryan glared daggers at him. Do you think But he didn't wait. Jungkook shoved the steering wheel toward her, unbuckled, and climbed halfway out the window. Gun already raised. Ryan grabbed the wheel with both hands, heart exploding in her chest. Jungkook leaned out, firing back, reckless, furious, precise. Wear the mask. She hesitated, rage burning. Now, Ryan. She cursed him under her breath, but pulled the black mask over her face. I swear I'll kill you myself. Another shot whizzed past. Jungkook shot back, the sound deafening. Ryan fought the wheel, navigating through the narrow Italian back streets she would never seen before. Where I am going. Jungkook slid back inside just long enough to slam a new magazine into the gun, sweat running down his temple. Straight, don't stop and don't look back. The words vibrated through the car like a warning and a prayer. She pressed the escalator harder. The engine roared, silence and gunshot echoed behind them. You always bring danger with you. Jungkook froze for a half a heartbeat but didn't answer. You are right, you are a threat to everyone stupid enough to care about you. Something flashed across his eyes, pain, recognition, guilt, and something darker, but he pulled away instantly, jaw hardening as he climbed back out of the window to fire again. The road curved sharply, Mine's eyes widened. She grabbed the back of his blazer and yanked him inside just in a time. A concrete pillar flew past the window, with the inches to spare. Jungkook crashed forward, chest slamming against hers. Their faces suddenly inches apart, breathing mixing. His eyes flicked to her lips for a half a second. Hers remained locked forward, knuckles white on the wheel. Neither spoke. Too close, too dangerous, too familiar. Jungkook recovered first, pushing the window down again, fury burning under his skin. He leaned out, this time without hesitation, without flinching, without fear. Jaw clenched so hard, the muscle in his cheek jumped. And then he didn't aim for the attackers, he aimed for their front tire. Behind them, a pursuing car skidded sideways, losing control, flipping once before slamming into guardrail. Jungkook exhaled through his teeth, not victorious, not satisfied, just surviving. He pulled back inside, breathing sharp and dragged. For a moment, they were close again. Too close, danger humming between their bodies and something else neither dared name. This is the last time you ruin my life. Jungkook didn't look at her. He just stared forward, jaw locked tight. The sirens were gone, but the silence was worse. The car skidded to a stop in front of the warehouse compound. Before the tires even settled, Jungkook shoved the door open, stepping out like he needed the air, like the world was crushing him. Ryan got out 2 moments, sharp eyes burning with rage. He ran a hand through his hair, looking up at the sky, breath shaking, then looked back at her. Their eyes met. Ryan, he didn't get to finish. Her face collided with his face hard. His head snapped to the side, stumbling back. Before he could recover, she kicked him square in the knee. He dropped to the ground. She was on him in an instant, knees on the concrete, gripping his collar, shaking with fury, eyes glassy but unblinking. Her fingers slipped inside his blazer, pulled out his gun and aimed between his eyes. For a second he didn't breathe. But then suddenly he smiled, not mockery, not arrogance, a terrifying, heartbreaking pride. Because he had never seen her like this. Strong, furious, unstoppable. I should put a bullet in your head. His smile faltered just for a moment. Then do it. Her grip tightened on his collar, her teeth clenched, her entire body trembled with the storm she once spent years brewing. Then he spoke again, quietly, almost apologetic. That gun's empty. He reached into his pocket slowly so she could stop him if she wanted. He pulled out a spare magazine and dropped it on ground between them. If she wanted, load it here. That was when her control snapped. She shook him by the collar, forehead nearly touched his. Tears refused to let fall, blurring her vision. You haven't changed at all. He went still. Still the same coward, still the same suicidal idiot who thinks time fixes everything. The word hit him like bullets, real ones. Thought bobbed. His eyes shine, not crying but hurt beyond expression. And I hate you. For a full second they just stared, rage in her, devastation in his. He lifted shaking hand and brushed her cheek, barely a touch, just enough to confirm she was real. She slapped his hand away instantly. Before she could strike again, Jungkook grabbed her and crushed her into his arms, desperate, possessive, terrified, holding her like she was the only thing keeping him alive. She fought, elbows and nails and rage, but he didn't loosen even an inch. I know. Let go of me, you jerk, you don't get to touch me. He just held her tighter, like he was committing every inch of her to a memory in the case she disappeared. He just hugged her like as if he breathing oxygen. He still held on until her voice broke on his name. I said, leave me, Jungkook. Something inside him flinched. He loosened, he let go. She jerked away from him instantly, creating distance like she needed oxygen. A tear escaped, one she never meant to give him. She wiped it violently, steadying herself by clutching the side of her for a second before walking away. Then, whose baby is that, Ryan? Her steps stopped dead. She turned slowly, her eyes red, blazing while he stepped toward her. That's my baby. He let out a small, humorless laugh, mocking, jealous, hurting. Who is the father? She didn't answer, just glared like she wished she could kill him with her eyes. Jungkook stepped closer, his voice turning into a taunt, a whisper full of insecurity and rage. You're so protective of him. I have seen it, so tell me, who's the father? That was when the tears she would fighting finally spilled. She turned away to hide them, to walk, but he grabbed her wrist, pulling her back. I asked, who is that lucky man? Who is the father? She shoved him back. That's none of your business. He grabbed her again, harder this time, voice breaking under anger, jealousy, fear. It is my business. I'm not letting you go until you answer who is the father. He stopped, frozen grip losing instantly, his face completely blank, not in disbelief but shocked that didn't know how to breathe. Tears streamed down her face, now silent, not gentle. Violent, shaking feet, tears. He has your DNA, but you are not his father. She grabbed his collar and yanked him closer. You are his blood father, Jungkook. She shoved him back, letting him crash into reality. She wiped her tears, ready to leave when his voice came. She turned. He stood there like a man seeing his worst nightmare come true. Pale, shaking, eyes wide, breath gone. She walked back toward him slowly, grabbed his collar again, smiling but not with joy, with so deep pain it became madness. That's your baby, Jungkook. You have a son, 4 years old. His face crumbled, denial, regret, horror, all hitting at once. You left me pregnant. I was pregnant with your child. The air around them went dead. Jungkook stared at her like the world had stopped, like every sound, every thought had been ripped out of him. Then his knees buckled. He collapsed, not dramatically, not loudly, like a body that simply stopped holding itself together. He hit the ground on both knees in front of her, hands shaking so hard he pressed them into the dirt to steady himself. Ryan swallowed hard, trying not to cry again, not wanting to feel anything for him anymore. He looked up at her, eyes trembling as if his brain was trying to process something too big for reality. Then his breath stopped. Not a sob, not a cry, silence. A terrifying silence. His eyes lost focus like someone pulled plug on his emotion entirely. His face went blank, his body went still. She went to his level, grabbing his collar again, softly yet aggressively. Vine grabbed his collar and forced him to face her. Say something, react to anything. But Jungkook didn't blink, didn't defend himself, didn't flare up the way he always did. He just whispered, shattered pain like something inside him cracked open. I wouldn't leave you if I knew. Those words hit her like betrayal all over again. Vine shoved him off so violently his knees scraped the ground. Yes, you would have. You always choose running over fighting. He flinched, not physically, emotionally. Ryan stepped closer, faces inches from his voice dropping to a little whisper. Well, now you get to regret. You have a son, John Jungkook, and you will never see his face, not in this life. I'll make sure of it. His lips trembled, his breath shook. He shook his head slowly, denying mixing with agony. And smile turned sharp, many grief. How unlucky, right? Your son will grow up never knowing who his father is. Because his father is dead anyway, isn't he? The moment the words hit, a sound ripped out of him, not a scream, not a shout. A raw sob punched out of him without control. His whole body shook, but she wasn't done. Rage never dies at the right time. You missed everything, Jungkook. Every moment when he was born, the way he cried for the first time, his first birthday, his first step, his first day of school. Jungkook's hand shot up, not to hit, not to push, but to cover his face like he was trying to physically hold himself together. He broke, a sound tore from him, choked, ugly, wounded. And then he started sobbing, really sobbing, shoulders shaking violently, breaths coming out like his lungs were failing. Just a father who realized he had missed his entire child's life. And Vian staring down at him, chest having tears burning her eyes, realized the worst part. Hurting him didn't make it hurt less. Jungkook stared, kneeling on the gravel, palms over his face, sobs shaking straight through him. Vian stood frozen, chest raising and failing. Her anger still burning, but her legs barely holding her up. Then his voice came, shredded, barely a sound. But what's his name? Vine's throat tightened instantly. Of all the things he could have asked, that was one of she wasn't prepared for. Jungkook lifted his head, eyes swollen, tears trickling down his face, breath skipping like he was drowning. Please, just his name. I'm not asking for anything else. Just tell me his name. Vine's jaw clenched. Her eyes flooded again. She looked away because looking at him hurt too much. He doesn't have one. Jungkook froze, confused. Vine swallowed hard, forcing herself to continue. He has a name, but he doesn't have a father's name. I didn't give him one. Jungkook didn't move at first. He just stared, empty, confused, like his brain refused to process. Then the realization hit him, and he folded in on himself, breath tearing out his lungs. His hands dug into his hair, shoulders shaking, a man collapsing under the weight of something he never can undo. Vine didn't walk away. She crouched, painfully slow, until she was right in front of him. She grabbed his jaw with both hands and forced him to face her. He didn't resist. His eyes were red, wet, drowning in regret. Hers were hollow, beyond pain, beyond mercy. Now, Ian. His eyes widened. Beg the way I begged for your love every night. The way I cried, praying you would choose me instead of running. Her grip tightened on his jaw until it hurt. He didn't flinch, he let her. Regret until your bones rot. Live every day suffocating on what you threw away. He shook, chest heaving while sobs he couldn't hold back. Wine leaned closer, foreheads almost touching. Her tears were finally spilling, but her voice stayed up, sharp as blade. But listen carefully, Jungkook. Nothing you can do, fix it. He cried harder, sounded shaking. Not crying, not begging, not loving, not dying, nothing. Jungkook's lips trembled, breath broken, but he didn't cry to defend himself. Didn't say sorry, didn't say anything, he just cried helplessly. Even if you are bleeding out in front of me, I will never let you see him. Never, not even once. Something shattered inside him, you could see it, the moment hope died. Jungkook finally choked out a sound, a sob ripped straight from his chest and raw, terrified. Vine released his jaw like he was poisoned. She stood up slowly, wiping her tears with the back of her hand, almost violently, like she didn't want her body to betray her. He stayed kneeling, sobbing like a man begging a god that doesn't exist. Vine looked down at him one last time, her voice barely audible. This helplessness you feel right now, I lived with it every single day. And with that, she turned her back on him. Jungkook didn't even try to stop her.